More Heroes games are creator Suda51's most well-known and best-selling games he has made so far. They are bloody, funny, lewd, surprisingly deep, and all-around awesome. But which one is better? Well, it's a matter of opinion. So let me take up your time and shove my opinion into your face. Oh yeah, spoilers throughout this episode, so be very wary. Both games have their high points and low points, obviously, but some aspects of each game are better than others. Let's start with the story. Both stories are very similar at their start. Our main hero, Travis Touchdown, unknowingly kills a ranked assassin, which enters him into the rankings. He's now officially ranked and is stuck in the rankings. The only way for him to possibly get out of the rankings is to climb up the rank of the United Assassins Association and become number 1. Rankings, rankings, rankings. How many more times can I say rankings? He also requests that if he becomes number 1, he gets to have sex with Sylvia Crystal, the coordinator / owner / proctor / whatever of the UAA. Wow. Most games are about saving a damsel in distress, or fulfilling an ancient prophecy, or just defeating an evil asshole who wants to take over the world. Not No More Heroes. These games are about
a loser named Travis Touchdown, who gets into some deep shit, and must now climb the ranks to try to get out, and get his dick wet in the process. Shakespearean.
Although the second game has another important aspect of the plot, as Travis's best friend Bishop has just been murdered. You remember Bishop, right? He gave you wrestling VHS tapes to help you learn new wrestling moves, and if you're far away from your bike on the overworld, he brings it right to you? You don't remember him? Oh. Well. Yeah. He dies. At least a friend of his gives you an awesome weapon in the second game. Anyway, both games have to do with revenge and the consequences of them. The first game's revenge plot doesn't really come to the forefront until very late in the game, while the second game is all about revenge. The revenge subplot pretty much stays in the background throughout the game, though there are hints of it here or there. The second game deals with revenge so much better than the first game. Until the final boss, which just ruins the message. Let me start with the first game. The message was, vengeance begets vengeance. Revenge on something could lead to something else getting revenge on you. Case in point, the rank 1 fight. Again, spoilers. In this boss battle, the rank 1 is killed by someone else, Travis' old girlfriend Jean, who turns out to actually be his half-sister. Well, that's pretty gross. Doesn't matter if she's kind of hot, that's still gross. It turns out that Travis' father molested her throughout her life and made her his, slave. She swore that she would kill him one day, and she did. Right in front of Travis, no less. Travis somehow manages to blank it out, but still swore revenge on the person who killed his parents. See? Vengeance begets vengeance. Besides Shinobu's backstory, that is the only bit of revenge in the first game. The second game, however, deals with Travis wanting revenge against the guy who ordered a hit on Bishop, who's actually the rank 1 Japanese Pat Jr., who wanted revenge on Travis for killing his family in the first game, which was nothing but a series of easy side missions in the first game. Another revenge story in this game deals with the tutorial boss, since Travis killed his brother in the debut trailer for the first game. That's right, not a boss battle in the main game, in a trailer. I don't understand why he would be pissed. Oh, also, a boss from the first game somehow manages to come back in the second game, and wants revenge on Travis for slicing him in half. Don't ask. Throughout the story, however, Travis goes through some serious character development, and decides that revenge is meaningless and wouldn't be satisfying. There's more to his quest than just getting revenge. It's about ending the cycle of violence and revenge by destroying the UAA, and even become something of a hero in a world of very morally ambiguous or downright evil people. Until the final boss. Jasper's fight is now only there so the player can complete the game, yet the game treats it like Travis still wants revenge on him right after all of his character development! So now you know that revenge is pointless. Why the fuck would there be a final boss that's meant to make the player unsatisfied of getting revenge? We're already past that! These final moments of the game ruin the whole revenge story and turn it into, hey, do you feel good about this? Do you? Do you? Huh? 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 It doesn't help that the actual battle itself is incredibly hard, in the cheap way. While there are other aspects of the stories of these games, the humor being a big one, the main theme of revenge is what drives the plot. Oh, and getting laid. Can't forget that. So which one is better? Well, up until Jasper, No More Heroes 2 had the better story. With the first game, Travis drank his goal away and didn't really want to continue up the ranks unless Sylvia sleeps with him when he gets to number 1. He only got his revenge at rank 1 and is never really dealt with it again. With the second game, Travis still wants to sleep with Sylvia, but is now really motivated by revenge, and that drives him to really compete through the ranks and become number 1. The second game is more consistent with his story, and Travis goes through much more character development than in the first game. Too bad Jerk Trot Jr. ruined that. With the exception of the last part, the second game's story is better. Now the graphics. No More Heroes 1 was very colorful and detailed, but it had shadows on top of everything. Everything moved in nice motion and the blood looked really good. 2 added a weird grayscale to everything, so while still colorful, everything looked duller than before. The blood sometimes looks better and sometimes looks weirder. Also, jiggle physics were added to the game, making hair flow in the wind or with movement, anything hanging from clothes swayed back and forth, and, So which one is better? To be honest, this one is more based on personal preference. Some aspects of 2 are better than 1, and vice versa. While I personally like the graphics of the first one, this subject is really a toss-up. Gameplay. While the controls are the same for both games, the mechanics are fairly different. The controls are A to attack, B to perform grapples, D-pad to dodge, nunchuck analog to move around, hold Z to target, minus to use powers, hold 1 and shake the Wiimote to masturbate, and hold the whole Wiimote for quick time events. Let's start with the first game. Whether your stance for attacking was high or low, it doesn't really matter unless you're charging your attack. Press B will do a punch or kick that can break guards. Besides new moves though, that is all combat has to offer, minus the special attacks you can acquire from time to time. Changing beam katanas does not change combat all that much either. Some have wider hitboxes so you can hit more enemies at the same time, but like I said, minimal changes. No More Heroes 2 on the other hand offers much more. Using the B button during a combo could lead you to doing a punch or kick combo, breaking guards much easier and making wrestling moves much better and cooler to perform. High and low attacks also now have a function. High attack is the quicker but weaker attack, and low attack is the slower but stronger attack. So the way you hold the Wiimote actually matters. The katanas all function differently as well, which is a much better improvement. The normal katana, Bloodberry, is the basic starting katana. It's not that strong, but not that weak. The next katana is the Tsubaki Mark III, which is pretty much the same katana as the last game, just looks a little different, but still functions the same. The next 2 are really where the second game shines. The Rose Nasty and the Peony Blade, or as I like to call it, the not-so-subtle Penis Blade. Rose Nasty is actually 2 beam katanas. Dual wielding. Oh, hell yes! Because it's 2 katanas instead of just 1, it's able to split enemies in ways they have never been split before. They are also pretty fast in combos, and in some cases, the horizontal range is really good. The Peony is the exact opposite. It's a single katana that grows bigger. It starts off in average size, but as you hit more and more enemies, it grows bigger and bigger. By the end, it's the biggest beam katana ever. Its horizontal attack range becomes huge, but the cost of swinging speed. It's definitely the heaviest weapon in the series. The blade can also grow by recharging. See what I mean by penis blade? Also in the second game, you can switch between Travis's katanas at any time during a level, whereas in the first game, you can only have one and would have to switch them back at the motel. The camera angle in the games also differ. Normally, in both games, when not locked onto an enemy, the camera is positioned behind Travis, but once you lock on, the angle changes. In the first game, the camera just gets closer to Travis's back, but in the second game, it angles itself to the bottom right corner of the screen. It looks weird, and while you do get adjusted to it, I personally prefer the camera in the first game. The enemies in both games are also fairly different. In one, you had enemies that had a short-range weapon, like a bat or a sword, some people who would punch you, and someone who had a gun to shoot you and quickly drain your beam katana. In two, you had these and more. Some enemies are now even bigger and or fatter, meaning more blood and gore. Some even have chainsaws, which is always fun. But wait, there's more! Call it now and receive a rare enemy type that is really fast, hard to hit, and very annoying. Don't delay, call now! The AI in the second game is much better as well. They are more aggressive and can even grab you. The other enemies will even beat you up while you're being held up. So at the seeing what both games have to offer in the gameplay department, overall the second game takes this one. There are more combat options, more variety of weapon and enemy types, and it just feels improved greatly from the last game. Well, it is a sequel, that's kind of a given in most cases. And now the final category, the bosses, aka the ranked assassins. I will be ranking them on memorability, uniqueness, and difficulty. Let's start with memorability. One easily takes it from me. I can easily remember all the bosses from the first game, and while I can still remember bosses from the second, I have a much tougher time remembering all the bosses from the second. Normally, I have to look it up. If you want a boss to be memorable, don't make someone look them up to remember them. I can remember the name, design, and fight of all the bosses in the first game. I can only do that with some of the bosses in 2. How about uniqueness? 2. Hands down. Most fights in 1 had you one-on-one with an enemy, with a weapon or barehanded. Don't get me wrong, I love those kind of boss fights, but only 2 of them in the first game mix it up. Rank 9, Dr. Peace, shoots at you, and Rank 3, Speedbuster, has a ginormous cannon that you need to avoid. 2, on the other hand, had an earthquake machine, a surprisingly missable optional boss, a temporary motorcycle battle, which handles like ass, bosses where you play as bosses from the previous game, 2 bosses at the same time, a Moe robot dream girl thing, and fucking Mecha on Mecha Battle! So yes, 2 wins that. Now difficulty. Both definitely have tough fights, not gonna lie. However, overall, I think 2 is harder. Not just because there are a little more boss fights in the second game than in first, but it just seems much more difficult than the first. I died more in 2 than in 1, and that was just on normal difficulty. So, 2 wins in that regard. So let's do the math. 25 carried to 3, x divided the square root of alpha cubed. 2 has more wins than 1. So overall, 2 is the winner between both games. Even so, while I love both games, I can admit that 2 is a better game overall. I personally like 1 better. There is no definitive better game though. It all comes down to personal preference in the end.
Travis, my no more hero.
Both stories are very similar at their start. Our main hero, Travis Touchdown, unknowingly kills a ranked assassin. Assassin. The new Sims game, Assassins. Create your own killer. Kill everybody in sight. And don't forget to be home for dinner. While there are other aspects of the story of these games, the humor being a big one, the main theme of revenge is what drives the pot. So it drives the pot. I feel like I'm high doing this right now. No More Heroes 2, on the other hand, offers much more. Using the B button during a combo could lead you to doing a punch or kick combo, breaking guards much easier and making reckling. What the hell's reckling? Oh my god. The camera angle in the games also differ. Normally in both games, when not locked onto an enemy, the camera... I can't speak. Someone, please help me. I can't speak like human being. Error.